What happens when an undercover owner works as a teacher at his own charter school, only to be shocked by what students whisper in class? Let's dive to see how one man's journey of discovery changes everything he thought he knew about education, trust, and the human spirit. Harlan Whitaker stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his tie for what felt like the 100th time. The reflection staring back wasn't just any man. It was the founder and owner of New Horizon Charter School, one of the most respected educational institutions in the city. Yet today, Harlan wouldn't be walking through those doors as the man in charge. No, today he'd be Mr. Brooks, a substitute teacher filling in for the regular 5th grade instructor who had unexpectedly called in sick. The decision to go undercover hadn't been an easy one. For years, Harlan had relied on reports, meetings, and second-hand accounts to gauge the success of his school. But something had been nagging at him lately, a gut feeling that there was more to the story than spreadsheets and test scores could tell. So here he was, dressed in a simple button-down shirt and slacks, ready to experience firsthand what life was really like inside the classrooms he'd built. As he walked toward room 5B, Harlan felt a mix of excitement and nerves bubbling in his stomach. He'd spent the last week studying lesson plans, brushing up on 5th grade math concepts, and practicing his new identity. Mr. Brooks was supposed to be a retired accountant looking to give back to the community, not the multimillionaire who'd poured his heart and fortune into creating this school. The bell rang just as Harlan reached the door, signaling the start of another day at New Horizon. Taking a deep breath, he pushed open the classroom door and stepped inside. 24 pairs of eyes turned toward him, some curious, others already zoning out before the lesson even began. "Good morning, everyone," Harlan said, his voice steady but carrying just enough warmth to put the kids at ease. "I'm Mr. Brooks, and I'll be your teacher today." He scanned the room, taking in the familiar setup. Rows of desks arranged neatly, posters about fractions and multiplication tables lining the walls, and a whiteboard waiting patiently for its first marker stroke. Everything looked exactly as it should, or so he thought. What Harlan didn't realize yet was that beneath this seemingly ordinary surface lay a world of secrets, struggles, and truths that would challenge everything he believed about his school and its students. "All right, let's get started with our math review," Harlan announced, trying to sound confident despite the butterflies still flapping in his chest. As he wrote problems on the board, he couldn't help but notice how different this perspective felt. From behind a desk, it was easy to make assumptions about student engagement based on grades and participation rates. But standing in front of them, watching their faces light up or dim depending on the difficulty of each question, gave him a whole new understanding of what teaching really meant. During the first half hour, things went smoothly enough. Most of the students followed along attentively, raising their hands to answer questions and working diligently on their worksheets. But then came the whispers, soft murmurs that started small but grew louder as the morning progressed. At first, Harlan tried to ignore them, chalking them up to typical childhood chatter. But soon, he realized these weren't idle conversations. They were coded messages, shared glances, and carefully chosen words that carried meaning far beyond what met the ear. His attention was drawn to a group of 4 boys sitting near the back row: Marcus, Tyler, Jamal, and Owen. They seemed particularly active in their whispered exchanges, leaning close together whenever Harlan turned his back to write on the board. Curiosity tugged at him, but he reminded himself to stay professional. After all, part of being a good teacher meant giving students space to express themselves while maintaining authority over the classroom. Still, those whispers gnawed at him throughout the morning. By lunchtime, Harlan found himself replaying snippets of overheard conversations in his mind. "You know what I heard? Did you see that? They think we don't notice." Each phrase carried weight, hinting at knowledge or observations that went deeper than mere playground gossip. Determined to uncover the truth, he resolved to pay closer attention during the afternoon session. As the students filed back into the classroom after recess, Harlan noticed something unusual about Marcus. The boy's usual confident demeanor had shifted to one of nervousness, his fingers fidgeting with the edge of his notebook as he took his seat. "Marcus," Harlan called out gently, "would you mind helping me pass out these papers?" The request seemed innocent enough, but Marcus hesitated before nodding and getting to his feet. As he moved through the aisles, Harlan watched closely, noting how the other 3 boys exchanged quick looks whenever Marcus passed nearby. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it confirmed what Harlan had begun to suspect. There was more going on here than met the eye. After distributing the papers, Marcus returned to his seat, avoiding eye contact with both Harlan and his friends. The rest of the class continued without incident, but Harlan couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something important. That evening, as he reviewed the day's events in his mind, he made a decision. Tomorrow, he would dig deeper, no matter where the truth might lead him. The next morning brought fresh challenges and renewed determination. Harlan arrived early, setting up the classroom with extra care and preparing himself mentally for whatever revelations might come his way. As the students trickled in, he greeted each one warmly, making mental notes about their behavior and interactions. This time, he paid special attention to the dynamics between Marcus, Tyler, Jamal, and Owen, observing how they communicated through gestures and expressions as much as words. During the morning lesson, Harlan employed a strategy he'd learned from experienced educators, pairing students for collaborative activities. His goal was twofold: to encourage teamwork among the children while also creating opportunities to eavesdrop on their natural conversations. When he assigned Marcus and Tyler to work together on a problem-solving task, he positioned himself nearby, pretending to grade papers while keeping an ear tuned to their dialogue. At first, the conversation centered around the assignment, with both boys focusing intently on finding solutions. But gradually, their discussion drifted toward personal topics, revealing layers of emotion that surprised Harlan. "I wish they'd just leave us alone," Tyler muttered under his breath, his pencil tapping rhythmically against the desk. "What do you mean?" Marcus asked cautiously, glancing around to ensure no one else was listening. "You know exactly what I mean," Tyler replied, his voice dropping even lower. "Always watching, always judging. Like we're some kind of experiment instead of real people." The words hit Harlan like a punch to the gut. Experiment? Watching? Judging? These weren't terms typically associated with positive educational experiences. Before he could process further, the boys returned to their work, leaving him to stew over their cryptic exchange. Later that afternoon, during free reading time, Harlan decided to take a bold step. Approaching Marcus's desk, he crouched down to meet the boy's eyes at eye level. "Mind if I sit here for a minute?" he asked softly, gesturing to the empty chair beside him. Marcus shrugged, clearly uncomfortable but unwilling to refuse outright. As Harlan settled in, he noticed the tension radiating from the young student, whose knuckles whitened as he gripped his book tightly. "You seem like someone who has a lot on his mind," Harlan began gently. "Is everything okay?" For several moments, Marcus said nothing, staring fixedly at the page in front of him. Just when Harlan thought he wouldn't respond, the boy finally spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's just, sometimes it feels like nobody really sees us. Like we're just numbers or data points instead of actual kids." The admission struck a chord within Harlan, resonating deeply with his own concerns about the true nature of education. "Tell me more," he encouraged, careful to keep his tone supportive rather than intrusive. Marcus hesitated, then launched into a heartfelt monologue that revealed startling insights about the inner workings of New Horizon Charter School. He spoke of teachers who favored certain students based on perceived intelligence or behavior, of unfair grading practices that rewarded conformity over creativity, and of a pervasive atmosphere where genuine connection often took a back seat to academic achievement. Listening to Marcus's revelations, Harlan felt a mixture of shame and resolve wash over him. Here was living proof that his beloved institution, built with the best intentions, had somehow strayed from its core mission. Yet within this painful realization lay an opportunity for growth and transformation, one that demanded immediate action. Over the following days, Harlan expanded his investigation, seeking input from other students and staff members while maintaining his undercover identity as Mr. Brooks. What he discovered shocked him to his core, a pattern of systemic issues rooted in outdated policies and unchallenged assumptions. Teachers operated under pressure to produce results, often at the expense of fostering meaningful relationships with their students. Administrative decisions prioritized metrics over humanity, reducing complex individuals to mere statistics on a spreadsheet. One afternoon, while supervising recess duty, Harlan witnessed an interaction that crystallized everything he'd uncovered thus far. A younger teacher approached Marcus and his friends, scolding them harshly for playing too loudly. Instead of addressing the behavior directly, she launched into a lecture about proper conduct, completely missing the underlying reasons for their exuberance. Watching this unfold, Harlan felt a surge of anger mixed with sadness. How had such well-meaning professionals become disconnected from the very children they were supposed to nurture? That evening, unable to contain his emotions any longer, Harlan called an emergency meeting with the entire faculty. Standing before the group of educators he'd hired and trusted, he revealed his true identity as the school's founder. The room fell silent, shock rippling through the assembled teachers as they processed this unexpected revelation. "I've spent the past week experiencing New Horizon from a different perspective," Harlan began, his voice trembling with emotion. "And what I've learned breaks my heart. We've created a place where numbers matter more than names, where rules outweigh relationships, and where the voices of our students are drowned out by our own expectations." His words hung heavy in the air, prompting a range of reactions from guilt to defiance among the staff. Some defended their methods, citing external pressures and limited resources. Others nodded solemnly, recognizing the truth in Harlan's critique. Through it all, he remained steadfast, determined to initiate change no matter the cost. In the weeks that followed, Harlan implemented sweeping reforms aimed at restoring balance to New Horizons' approach to education. He introduced mandatory training sessions focused on empathy and active listening, encouraged teachers to spend quality one-on-one time with their students, and established feedback channels allowing pupils to voice concerns without fear of retribution. Perhaps most significantly, Harlan abolished the practice of ranking students based solely on test scores, instead emphasizing holistic development and individual progress. These changes didn't happen overnight, nor were they universally embraced. Resistance arose from various quarters, including parents accustomed to traditional evaluation methods and administrators worried about maintaining competitive standings. Yet amidst the challenges, moments of triumph emerged that reinforced Harlan's belief in the power of transformation. One such moment occurred during parent-teacher conferences, when Marcus's mother tearfully thanked Harlan for recognizing her son's unique strengths and supporting his growth beyond conventional measures. Another came when Tyler, once reluctant to participate in class discussions, delivered a heartfelt presentation about overcoming obstacles, earning applause from both peers and teachers alike. Through these victories, Harlan came to understand a profound truth. Education isn't merely about imparting knowledge. It's about nurturing souls, building connections, and empowering individuals to reach their full potential. As he reflected on his journey, he realized that stepping into the classroom as Mr. Brooks had been more than an experiment. It had been a calling, leading him to rediscover the essence of what truly matters in life. Now, as he stands once again in front of room 5B, this time as the proud principal of a transformed New Horizon charter school, Harlan Whitaker knows that the whispers of yesterday have given way to voices of hope, resilience, and promise. And though the road ahead remains long and challenging, he walks it with renewed purpose, guided by the lessons learned from those brave enough to speak their truth. The final twist came unexpectedly, months after implementing the changes. During a routine audit, Harlan discovered evidence suggesting that similar issues existed across multiple charter schools nationwide. Fueled by his experiences at New Horizon, he founded a national initiative dedicated to promoting compassionate education reform, traveling the country to share stories, strategies, and solutions with educators eager to create better learning environments for all students. This revelation forced Harlan to confront the sobering reality that the problems he'd identified weren't isolated incidents, but symptoms of a broader systemic flaw. Yet rather than becoming discouraged, he chose to channel his passion into effecting widespread change, inspiring countless others along the way. Through workshops, seminars, and partnerships with influential organizations, he worked tirelessly to spread the message that every child deserves to be seen, heard, and valued as a whole person, not just a statistic. Today, Harlan Whitaker is remembered not only as the visionary founder of New Horizon Charter School, but as a champion of educational equity and compassion. His story serves as a powerful reminder that sometimes the greatest discoveries come from listening closely, questioning assumptions, and having the courage to act upon what we learn. As he often says during his speaking engagements, every child carries within them a spark of brilliance waiting to be ignited. Our job as educators is to provide the oxygen that allows that spark to grow into a flame capable of lighting the world. And so, the legacy of Harlan Whitaker continues to inspire, reminding us all that true transformation begins when we're willing to look beyond the surface, embrace discomfort, and commit ourselves fully to creating a brighter future for generations to come. In the end, it's not just about teaching, it's about touching lives, shaping destinies, and proving that even the smallest actions can lead to the most significant changes. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.